If they go in different conditions, they will perform these same players. Roach is actually very, very, very good fast bowler. You just didn't see that much, but I do want to give credit where credit's due, and that's
All right, guys. So this is the 22nd episode of the Yorker. The second match is going on right now as we speak, and you can see Alfie right there. He's got the TV right above us.
I'm watching the game. It's a very low volume, so it shouldn't be coming out yet.
I appreciate that, but yeah, I mean, as a fan of the Tigers, I feel quite happy. I know some people have said it's kind of boring. I don't think it's boring. I'm kind of enjoying seeing the spinners get that much.
No, obviously we're happy. I mean, we got our asses handed to us in the West Indies, so obviously this is good. But I mean, it's still, yeah, I mean, it is still kind of boring. We're just waiting for like the next 6 wickets to fall, so it's almost like watching grass grow in a way. But
I know what you mean, but see, to me, because we have like experienced so few victories in Tests, it's still kind of new. Are we really going to get the other 6 wickets? I don't know. Like, probably.
Well, the thing is, this is going to be now like our 5th major win in like 2 years. So like now and we don't play that many Tests, so it's kind of frequent now. So it's like now we're getting to that thing where it's like wearing off. We need we're building a tolerance, so we need like bigger. We need a bigger dose to get the same effect now, the same high. So it's kind of like that. I mean,
yeah. Ringo, what you think of this match? Who has impressed you from any of the teams?
Definitely Shadman. Is a new guy. He came in to a game that with a lot of expectations on his shoulder, mainly because so many have failed before him that have taken up that position. For him to come in as young as he is, good head on his shoulders. Played the balls to his merit, something a lot of others know to do, but they have failed to do that on many occasions. I feel like Shomo's still kind of struggling in the Test format, still kind of has a start, wants to get going, but for some reason just can't seem to convert innings into a big one, or even a honorable one. But but that's, again, he's a talented guy, so it might be a few more innings before he comes on. But by then, I think if Tamim comes back and he's ready to go, I think this new guy Shadman is going to be the one that's going to open with him, and Liton is going to fall down to the middle order, where he, I think, for now is pretty comfortable and looks the part.
Right. As we continue to get better, Rinat, do players like Shomo even have a place in the 11?
I don't think so. Not at this format, at least. I mean, Shomo's doing well in the ODI side. Maybe he should have stuck to that. Maybe the management should have let him get established or re-established in that format first before introducing him to a whole new format. I know he has done pretty well in the NCL and the BCL and whatnot, but again, even he still scored a couple of 50s, and which is still pretty average. So they should have been patient.
I think he hit 100 recently, and and I don't want to cut you off, but one of the things. Oh, actually, I'll go ahead and let you finish, and then I'll go.
No, that's fine. We're having a discussion.
This is kind of rude, but
no. We'll play out each other.
No such thing.
But of course, we're Bengali, so like we're not supposed to have manners.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. We're very Bhandra. We're very Bhandra jati. So.
I mean, it's. I don't know. For me, I kind of go back to what I say about Shomo all the time. I think he still has the flaws. He hasn't worked on his technique at all so far. in ODIs he'll get away with it, but I don't think in tests he will. So he should have stayed away. I mean, it's for his own good, because knowing our selection process, him doing poorly in the test right now is probably going to impact his ODI selection, and that's just dumb because he just hit 100 in his last game. So I don't know. I hope it doesn't impact, but for now he should stay away. And I don't even think he has a spot left when Tamim comes back, and then on the next series we gotta play at least 3 seamers. So and we're not gonna drop all the spinners either. So at somewhere down the order or up the order, we gotta chop some players, and Shomo is probably gonna be the first player to get chopped off.
Right. Some of the
Yeah,
some of the things you're saying about Shomo, people have said about Liton in the past, like questioning his
Yeah.
presence in the team. What do you? Any of you guys can come in on this. What you make of his 50? He seemed really comfortable, and I wasn't expecting that level of comfort from him. Uh, is he a good player to spin, or was it just that the West Indies guys couldn't bowl at all? Alfred.
I mean, I don't really know. I haven't really focused too much on watching Liton's batting. I would say he's probably not a bad player of spin. At least not any. I mean, he's not. Most of the Bangladesh players are decent playing spin, especially when the ball's not turning. But that's not saying much. But um, one of the things though is that, and I know some people might say that Bangladesh, like our players, struggle to play spin. Playing spin on a turning track is actually very difficult. It's not easy. Even like you'll see like good players will not often score big runs on turning pitches. So I guess we should probably give that that as like kind of a mitigating factor. As far as Liton, this innings, like he came in and he did what was needed to be done. Like he came in, he kind of accelerated, like he took on where like Shakib kind of left off, and we ended up getting close to 500. I think by the time he got out. By the time we got to 400, we pretty much had the game. Like we're not going to lose this game at that point. Maybe there's a draw if West Indies bats well, but
Right.
so he did his job. He did his job. It was a
Yeah.
decent knock.
I
That reverse sweep that he played to get out, that was
Yeah.
obviously not a good shot, but I'm not gonna complain because he got 50, and I mean it's like he's batting at 8. Like what are you expecting him to do? Hit a
Right.
double century batting at
Right.
8?
I mean, the thing is, the management they put him in the side as a keeper,
Hmm.
but now he's not keeping. Mushfiq is keeping, so obviously he's going to have to be evaluated just on his batting. And I know
Yeah.
me and Alfie, we like Nurul, we would want him in the squad as the keeper and not
Hmm.
Liton. So that kind of question.
You guys can have Adam Gilchrist in the squad, but Mushi's still gonna keep. So what's the point? I don't get it.
Yeah.
You could have anyone in the squad. He is gonna continue to keep. So I think we gotta stop looking.
Well, that's where
specialist keeper
management
because
has
it's not
to
gonna
put.
happen. They won't.
Well, that's where management has to put their foot down, and they have. They've taken away Mushfiq's gloves several times, but he
No.
keeps getting them back because a wicketkeeper either gets injured or he gets dropped for poor form or something. There's no continuity, and
Okay.
management
Well,
needs to figure out what they want to do.
all right.
That's management's fault. It's not Mushfiq's fault.
Cool.
You
No,
know, I mean,
yeah.
to some degree.
I mean, I'm not gonna say. I can say so many things about Mushfiq. Let's try to stay positive. Ringo, would you make of Shakib? I'm really ever since his comeback, he's been so positive, and you can see him smiling and just relaxed. I just say something about Shakib, man. What do you think?
Shakib's been very impressive. The way he started off the bowling when the batting stopped, and he came on and the very first over, I mean, impact, and you could see it's not just that the batsmen are doing bad. It's he's bowling very well. The wickets that he's getting, those turns, you have to generate it on your own, and he's using skill, and he's actually playing with their intelligence the way he's bowling. That's again his experience over the years, but to have that on the ready on the very first over to understand the batsman that well, he's really on song. And it's not like we hear all these stories about other other spinners or other really great bowlers who really work on their craft, and we think about their hard work before everything. With Shakib, it's like you said, the word is relaxed. It's sort of, if you go through even his social media, he's here, there, everywhere. He has his normal life. He has his cricketing life. He has a public persona. But aside from all that, when you put everything aside, when he steps onto the field, he's still performing. That's one thing that, when Bangladesh is not performing well, we talk about, is that everything else becomes like a sticking factor. Why is he so focused on this, and that? Well, he should be focused on the cricket. With Shakib, that has never been a problem. No matter what he's doing, when he's on the field, he's always performing.
I feel the break has helped him. It kind of rejuvenated his spirit for bowling. He's got that sharpness back. And you're absolutely right. We're quick to praise other bowlers. We always hear about the Dusra, but I could have sworn Shakib can bowl a Dusra as well, because some of them is a slow left armer. He gets to the balls come back to the right, come into the right hander, right? But some of the balls, I swear, were going the other direction. So he's got a Dusra. He's just as good as them. I mean, in this.
Well, he bowls the arm ball, and I was watching it on replay because he bowled the arm ball. I think that was the first wicket that he got yesterday. I'm not sure, first, maybe second wicket. And I was trying to watch on the replay, and it really it's very well disguised because the ball's still spinning. So if a batsman is looking at the seam, they're still seeing that the ball is revving. Now, I don't know how he manages to do it, and the ball doesn't turn. It continues to go on with the arm. So he's got the arm ball. He even had that one delivery he bowled in an ODI recently where it was seam up and the ball actually swung in the air, which was very interesting. So he does have that little variation. I haven't seen him bowl that with a red ball in Test cricket, but like his arm ball is lethal. And frankly, actually now Tajul and Mehdi, they all have good arm balls. I mean nowadays no one bowls a deucer anymore because since 2014 they've been cracking down on chucking, and the deucer is extremely difficult to bowl without bending your arm. Like I'm a finger spinner, I'm an off spinner, and the deucer, I mean I can bowl a deucer, but it's very difficult to bowl it, without bending your arm. So I mean, 90% of the time if I'm bowling it, I'm gonna be chucking. So
right.
So
Mufi was just texting a minute ago, and I'll post this as a question to all of you. So let's talk about West Indies. How come they're so bad in this series, or is it just us who are better? And we could disagree on this or agree on this. Well, what would you say, Rinat? Like, what's the reason for them?
I think it's the same reason we are so bad against them in their conditions, right? This is it's just how international Test cricket is these days. You're king of your own den. But then when you travel away in different conditions, it's the same thing. You got to realize that, we're talking about the number 9 team versus the number 8 team. So, we're like the two bottom teams. So it's natural that our plus sides are all going to be at home only. It's, neither West Indies nor Bangladesh has the kind of skill set or talent or experience to do well in overseas conditions. And it makes sense. I mean, if teams like India, Australia, if they can't perform overseas, how can you expect the bottom ranked teams to do that? I think ICC is at fault here for not having a more balanced, for not having a more balanced schedule where everyone plays everyone in some sort of scheduled manner and in different conditions. I think that's the only way these teams will improve in different conditions.
Rinat mentions a good thing about scheduling. One of the things, like we saw, like a lot of people say that, oh well, India has been competitive in South Africa, and then they were competitive in England, and yes, they were. That's definitely a very valid point. But you also have to remember, India won one Test match in South Africa, which was a dead rubber. And they won that on the fast bowler's equivalent of a minefield of a pitch. And on that type of wicket, and I'll go back to the first test we played against Zimbabwe in Silat. On those types of wickets, I think that wicket was played, it was back in January, India versus South Africa. I think it was played in Johannesburg. On that type of wicket, what's going to happen is that Ishant Sharma is going to be as lethal as Morne Morkel. when every ball is moving, let's say 12 inches off the seam. And so what that does is that basically negates the advantage that South Africa's fast bowling attack has. So let's say if you win the toss and you bat first,
Okay.
or something like that.
So let me comment. I think that's really good what you say. So saying that this is a spin heaven, this Mufu pitch, then why couldn't their spinners replicate what our spinners did? Is it because our spinners are that much better, or is it because their batsmen can play spin as well as we do?
Well,
Uh,
so my theory here now, that's a very good point, Roey. What I would say is that none of these wickets are minefields, at least not yet. The first test didn't go past the third day. Maybe on the fifth day it would have been a raging Turner. This test, I mean, this is a pretty flat wicket. So here, if you notice, our bowlers are pretty much kind of are bowling very attacking, bowling kind of wicket to wicket lines. I think the West Indies bowlers, they're not used to bowling in these types of, well, I guess their conditions are pretty similar. But I get their bowlers are just not as good. Their spinners are just, I mean, Roston Chase I think is their best spinner, and he's an all-rounder. He's not a specialist off spinner. Devendra Bishu is not that good, and Warwicken, I mean, I guess he's not that good. Their spinners are not as good as our spinners. I would say.
I want to bring in Ringo on this. I don't know how much you know about the West Indies squad, but from what you've seen in this match, how do you rate these guys? Like for me, if you ask me, I used to rate Bishu. I think is a good spinner. The other guys I don't know so much about, and they haven't shown me anything that I could say is really impressive. What would you say about that?
I think they are actually a decent squad. If they go in different conditions, they will perform these same players. Roach is actually very, very, very good fast bowler. You just didn't see that much, but I do want to give credit where credit's due, and that's to Riyadh. He has scored 200s now, right? And his last one was also when the pitch was kind of deteriorating. He came in, hit a very tough one. This innings too. I mean, on a day two when it was starting to turn a little bit more, he was still the guy that kind of got us over the line of draw versus win.
Yeah.
So and he's doing something that the West Indies for 2 innings now is not going to be able to do, which is to really bat it out. He batted more than I think 250 balls. That's pretty impressive on any surface.
Right.
So
that's such a great point. You're right, and we would have probably forgotten about Riyadh if you hadn't brought him up. But by the way, I just want to say all the trolling we do to Riyadh, it's as a fan. Don't take it seriously. Don't comment.
No, I love Riyadh as a limited overs batsman, but in the test team, if he had batted like this 5 or 6 years ago, I wouldn't have a problem with him being in the team. To me, now this is too little, too late. He's still a guy who's been playing for 10 years, and now he has 3 centuries. Okay, I mean, I'm not going to say, we need to drop him I would still drop him for the New Zealand squad. I'd bring Musaddiq in. I'm just a huge fan of him. But if he plays, I'm not going to be like, why is he in the squad? Or I hope he gets out for, a duck or something like that. Which in the past, I'll be honest, if Riyadh came into bat, I was like, you know what? I really hope you never want to, wish ill on a Bangladesh player. But I'd be like, you know what? I don't care if he gets out for a duck. Because I don't like him in the test team. I have all the respect for him as a person. And I love his batting in the ODI team, the T20 team. But in the test team, I didn't want him in the team. I still don't want him in the team. But he's performed. And so, I mean, and that's all you can ask for, really. Because whoever you replace him with, you would want him to score 136 and really put the team in the driver's seat. So, I don't have any complaints.
Right.
Going back to something we were talking about, the West Indies spinners versus Bangladesh spinners. So I mentioned the Zimbabwe game in Sylhet, and on that pitch, it didn't start off at least as being a raging Turner, but it was still turning quite a bit, especially by day 2, day 3, day 4, whenever the match ended. And if you look at Raza he out-bowled our spinners. Is he a better spinner than our spinners? Absolutely not. But he out-bowled our spinners because that pitch allowed him to do it. He put the ball in the right areas. I mean, he was out-bowling Miraz. Miraz has 8 wickets already in this game. And And Miraz didn't bowl terribly in that test in Sylhet, but Miraz wasn't bowling in the right areas. Miraz was bowling stump to stump. He barely went for any runs, but he didn't get any wickets. Raza, on the other hand, was bowling a little bit further outside off stump. Maybe he was getting the ball into the rough. He was getting massive turn. But then we saw in the second test on a flat Dhaka pitch, Zimbabwe spinners, I think they had combined figures of, 4 for 300. And the Bangladesh spinners, we saw Taijul pick up, I think Mehdi. Mehdi had the 10-wicket haul, I think, or Taijul had a 10-wicket haul. Somebody had, our spinners.
Yeah, Taijul it was, yeah.
Yeah, it was Taijul. Taijul, I think, had 11 wickets in that. Oh, no, that was in the Sylhet test. But you get the point. Our spinners ran riot in Dhaka on a flat wicket, but Zimbabwe spinners didn't. So I think that some of that has to do with the pitches, competitiveness, etc. But Rinat that talked about scheduling, I think one of the reasons why away teams are struggling so much, all the way top to bottom, you talk about Australia, England, India, they're all basically losing every series away, with the odd exception. England won in Sri Lanka, and I think, there's some odd exceptions here and there. And the reason for that is because now with all these T20 leagues and, all this limited over cricket being played, teams aren't playing as many tour matches anymore. They'll play a 2-day tour match, which that's nothing. A 2-day tour match, you might as well have a net session. And that's more valuable, really. But back in the day, teams would play, they'd spend a whole month playing warm-up matches before the series began.
Yeah.
So,
and by the way, I want to say something about that. Why do we only have 2-match test series? Like all the other ICC members, I see them having 3 matches. So why can't we do that? That's something we have to address. Well, the board has to address it, I guess.
Well, I think the BCB is not interested in it because of financial reasons. And frankly speaking, we're not even playing 5-match ODI series. I have no idea what the BCB is doing. We could definitely get top teams to play 5-match series. I just don't think we're interested in it for whatever reason. I have no idea why. For tests, I can understand because it's probably a financial drain. They don't make as much money. But I will say this: in the next FTP we're hosting West Indies for a 3-match series. I think in 2021 or 2020, and we're playing in Sri Lanka for a 3-test series. So those are both series that we can win.
About the scheduling thing, I really feel that when we were talking about number 8 versus number 9, we are not actually at the ranking that we are situated right now. I would say we're more mid-tier. We are in that tier of England, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, New Zealand, and I would loop in West Indies too. But we're somewhere in there, maybe on the upper end of it. And if any of those teams visit BD, they're going to lose for the most part, I feel. Because that mid-tier range, I think we have it pretty much down, that we can and should win in those type of situations. There is one team that has completely avoided facing us in this entire FTP, and that's Australia.
Oh yeah.
I felt if they had come when they were supposed to come, when we were in that super series versus England, Pakistan, South Africa, if they had come at that time, they would have faced something. But even if they come, let's say before the end of this FTP at once, they will face a very tough series here in Bangladesh, simply because of all the points mentioned. The spin, our pitch is going to be curated to our strengths. Our bowlers are just going to hammer at them for 5 days if it goes to 5 days. And I don't think the Australia of old is the Australia of today. They would not be able to sustain even against, they may say, but that's an elitist thinking that, oh, we're Australia, we're not going to lose to Bangladesh. But if you come down here, right, in a test match.
With Smith and Warner, mind you, to quote Athar Ali Khan, mind you.
It's the same reason probably why India doesn't come so much, but that's another point.
I mean, India tours us pretty often. They don't host us because it doesn't make them any money. Maybe they lose money, but they tour us a fair amount. Next FTP are actually our first in the Test League. Our first, I think, series is in India, so we're going to be on the back foot to begin with because we're probably going to lose that series.
All right. So let's wrap this one up. I think we've covered a lot, and I just want to say that I think it's just that our spinners bowled better because I don't still trust our batsmen. Like Ringo was saying, if all these foreign teams come over, yeah, I'm pretty confident, but I'm confident about our own bowlers. I'm not really confident about our batsmen because I still think most of them have some flaws. But had we gotten the third test match, we could have really seen if they could have done a good job or not. Like guys like Shadman, if they're the real deal, we could have seen that. But what I'm sure about is our bowlers, our spin department at home, especially in the Mirpur pitch, we got it on lock. Will be pretty good most of the times. 4 out of 5 times will be good. Any last points or?
Well, I think this series was, I think, good. This was the kind of pitch that I wanted for this match, a flat batting wicket, to see how we do. Because against England, we had turning pitches. They weren't impossible to play on, but they were turning pitches. Same thing against Australia. So, and then we did the same thing against Sri Lanka, and it backfired. We lost a test match. So this is good because now we know that we can out bowl non-Asian teams even on a flat pitch. To be fair, to be honest, like going back with what Ringo was saying, I totally agree. We're a mid-tier team. It's just that the mid-tier is basically every team with the exception of South Africa, England, and I would say India. Every other team is mid-tier. At home, we're probably not going to beat Pakistan. We're almost certainly not going to beat India. I mean, maybe in 10 test matches, we might beat them once, maybe draw a couple on a flat pitch. But against any of the against Australia, England, New Zealand, South Africa, we would demolish these teams on our pitches at home. I mean, you think West Indies are doing badly? Yes, they're doing badly. But, I mean, we would annihilate any white team or any non-Asian team on our pitches. I mean, I don't know. Any of you, I'm sure all of you guys would agree with that.
I just want to say something. I think if any of the teams we face going forward in home conditions, and if any of those teams have a good leggy, I think we're still going to struggle in turning conditions. We are still pretty weak against leggy. Bishu I think he was below average, way below his actual average. Like he's not the greatest leggy to begin with, and
Right.
even then, his performance wasn't up to the standards. But if we were to face, like, let's say Yasir Shah in Dhaka or Chittagong, or if we were to face, any of the leggies, literally in every other team in the world right now has a leggy. You look at any test side, I think we would have struggled a lot more.
But apart from Yasir Shah, I don't think any team has a good test leg spinner. They have good limited overs leg spinners, but the two I think are different. Yasir Shah is good, but Yasir Shah kind of has his own. He has his ups and downs. We played him, I think, in Khulna, and we drew that match. That was the game where Tamim and Imrul had that 300-run opening stand. I think Yasir Shah was playing in that test. So I wouldn't necessarily say.
We would still struggle though, Alfie.
I think we would struggle against Adil Rashid. We will struggle against Kuldeep Yadav. We will struggle against Ish Sodhi, Imran Tahir.
Not against. I don't think against. Well, Imran Tahir, he doesn't play Test cricket. He's almost.
Well, yeah, he doesn't play. But there's a new guy, right?
Ish Sodhi, we wouldn't struggle against him. Adil Rashid, we played against. He did okay. But our spinners
I mean, in a turning condition, not a flat condition.
Those were turning pitches. The pitches against England were turning from ball one. They weren't impossible to play. It wasn't an unplayable wicket, but it was still a turning pitch. Anything more than that, I mean, it's going to be an unfit wicket. You're going to get written up by the ICC for having a shit wicket, which is maybe a valid point. But you guys are right. We do struggle against leg spinners, but we struggle against leg spinners, I think, in limited overs cricket, where there's a need to score 5 runs every over. And then when you have Rashid Khan bowling googlies that you can't read, then that's when we struggle, because we'll only go for 2-3 runs and over, and then pressure builds, and then we try to hit out, and we get out. We're not.
I think we're working on that though, and. I know I'm saying that we're struggling against leg spinners, but also I think Rishad is currently with the national team, so I think they're trying to get him prepared and at the same time get our batsmen prepared to conventional leggies. He's still not at that standard, but they're still facing leggies on a regular basis. I think it kind of gets their mindset a little bit fixed and a little bit better.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. One of the things is Roey. Go Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that I think a lot of your questions will be answered in the New Zealand series. I actually do rate Saudi, and Saudi's not the only guy they have. New Zealand is one of those teams. They work on player development. They try out a lot of guys and see how they are. I think a lot of the questions that you guys raised will be answered in New Zealand. If it's just a matter of uh,
Well,
a difference in formats, or do they really have the skills? Because guys like Sandner and Sodi, they creamed us totally in T20, and I believe that they can do the same thing in tests. So it depends on the
well,
technique of the guys if they can.
well. Here's the thing. He won't play in the test matches against New Zealand on their pitches. They'll have Santner as their lone spinner, and then they'll have a 3-man seam attack. Actually, with Colin de Grandhomme, who's an all-rounder, they'll probably have a 4-man seam attack. They're going to have Bolt, Saudi, Wagner. Those will be their 3 specialist seamers, and then they'll have Colin de Grandhomme. So they're going to have room for maximum Santner, who's kind of an all-rounder. He's like their Miraz role. He bats at number 8, and then he'll be the left-arm spinner. So we're not going to face Sodi in tests, and on those green wickets, he's probably not going to get much turn anyway.
I think they may play Sodi over Santner though. Knowing our record against leggies, I think they may play him. And Santner is the kind of player that may be very ineffective in those conditions, at least more than a conventional leggy. So leggy doesn't need conditions. Leggy can turn it.
Ish Sodi can probably also hold a bat. He's probably not as accomplished as a Santner.
I highly doubt they're worried about our bowling attack. So I don't think they're gonna have a.
Yeah, that's true. Also, that's true. Also, but
yeah, if they need more than 5 batsmen to win a test match against us in their conditions, then there's something wrong with their team. So I don't think so. Especially with our.
We'll find out. It's I don't know. It's exciting times. I feel maybe you guys don't feel the same way. Everyone knows this. I'm not that big of a watcher of tests, but Ringo, you love tests. I
do.
I still remember the comment you said. You love Dummy McBall, the way he bats, the sweet sound of the ball when it hits the.
Yeah.
So I'll have you.
Roey, other than you, we're all big fans of Test cricket. I think it's number 1 for all 3 of us. Okay, and we're gonna pass on the disease to you. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ringo, I'll let you have the last word on this. Just are you happy with what you saw, or it's just a boring match for you?
No, it's actually I care about not just you see when we talk, we're talking about very specific details about this happened on this day, and we remember everything. But you have to think, for the average cricket fan around the world, what is their perception, and what is the perception that we are leaving them with? And I think in the Asia Cup, we firmly established that the hierarchy has changed, that the India-Pakistan rivalry is not the main rivalry now. It's Bangladesh-India in ODI terms. So that was a great perception change.
I agree, yeah.
This test is going to prove that not only can we beat, just the teams once in a while in tests, but we can do it regularly. And we can beat them inside 3 days, 4 days, just like, how they used to do it to us back in the days. There was a time in our history when a test going to 5 days was a big deal. Just going to 5 days. So now we have changed that perception to no, we can actually win tests, not just against Zimbabwe. That was the second phase. Third phase came, no, now they can beat England at home. Okay, that's not a big deal. They win a few more tests. Now we're winning regularly. Now they have to take us seriously. Now you're saying, now it's a home versus away thing. At home, we'll beat them. At away, we might lose, and that's okay. But that perception took a lot of time to arrive to, Yeah. And now that we're saying that we're in the middle tier, we're firmly in the middle tier only because of that. Because if you split a home test and lose an away test, where are you? You're right in the middle with everybody else.
Exactly. You're break even.
Yeah.
And it's just on time too, because right after this World Cup in 6 months, the Test League begins. So this ranking system that we're always talking about, we've been talking about for the last 15 years. I mean, this is going to be irrelevant now in 6 months. And we get a blank slate to start from. So
good riddance.
Good riddance. Yeah, we're not gonna. Yeah, we should look to be somewhere around 5th, 6th in the rankings, and and that'll
I think that's
change
why
the
I think
perception.
that if you look at it that way, I think Bangladesh should start. They should use the next few matches to really sort of experiment and get some solid players for this format, because if points are not going to matter in 6 months, then why worry about points at all? Then maybe we can get some more seamers in, try to get like a more complete test squad going.
Absolutely.
Well, very good. I'm satisfied now with the conversation. I just had a lot of energy to burn. I'm sure you guys felt the same way. So we've had a good talk. So thanks again. Thank you guys for joining. We'll leave it as this.
Yep.
See ya.
It was a lot of fun. Ringo, see you next time.
All right, man.